I see you've made it on the other side. Welcome back. We're going to continue with the Sorcerer. Big fan of the Sorcerer. Because before, the difference between the Sorcerer and the Wizard was one prepared their spells but knew more, and one could cast more spells per day and knew less but was able to cast more. That was only alright for me. I was kind of like, meh. So I was a big fan when books started coming out that really made the Sorcerer unique with like Dragon Heritage and blah 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 blah. I was a big fan of those. Which I think they still have a little bit of in these so far. I haven't really looked through all of it, like for the arcane stuff and all that bonus fun stuff. But the Sorcerer in this book, really, really, really cool. Big fan of. These just, single target, just massive blast from hell. Oh my god, they got some really cool abilities that really play on that, they're innate, so there's not always a art form to it, so there's a lot of stuff like it plays on whatever number you got on the die can do certain things. Really, really, really cool. I'm just big fan of the Sorcerer class. With just this, because they're their own thing now, and it really plays on those heritage feats that they used to be able to get. Now, it's just awesome power. So, I like how they made them their own thing now, and the two styles that they have in this are Chaos Mages and Dragon Mages. It's very, very well done. Big fan. I know I'm way too excited for this class, but it's so cool. It's got a really cool story. Really cool game mechanics. It's awesome. Paragon pads are the Arcane Wellspring, the Demon Skin Adept, the Dragon Soul Heir, and the Wild Mage. Wild Mages, so much stuff. So many. Because that's where, a lot of that dice stuff happens on those Wild Mages. Depending on what they get, odd, even, 5, 6, whatever, can do different things. Then we move on to the Warden, which is also a really cool, unique class. I don't know, I forgot the word class. But see, they wear light armor. They're defenders. They're supposed to be your frontline fighters. Here's the thing though, they wear light armor because what they do is they get these guardian mites that change their skin, like their skin becomes something else, like wood or stone. I think it's only wood. Wood, bark, stone, stuff like that. Really, really cool story behind them. They've got a lot of these nature-style attacks. They're like a majority of their daily powers become aspects of something else. Form of winter, form of treant. Oh, it's really, really cool what they got for these. That's their big thing, is these awesome, shifting form type things. Big fan of it. Paragon pads are the Blood Wrath Guardians, the Horned Champions, Storm Sentinels, and Verdant Lord, which is a treant, really big treant. And that's some of the classes for this game. I was a huge fan of them. I really like the classes from this book. We move on to the Epic Destinies, which there's a good bit of. There's the Fate Singer, which requires you to be a bard. Because this is also where they introduced non-overarching general Epic Destinies. These actually might require you to be something specific. Like the Fate Singer's Bard, Glorious Spirit has to be a primal. Harbinger of Doom is just a umbrella one. Lore Keeper, Intelligence 21 or Wisdom, and Training in 2 knowledge skills. Primal Avatar, obviously has to be primal. Revered one is any divine class. And that sums up those. Then we get into the backgrounds that they did in this book. I like these because it expands upon the background. Because the backgrounds from the DMG were not necessarily for like games. It didn't give you any optional game statistics. It was just a background. What this did was it gave you a background, but then optional alternate skills that you might take due to your background. For example, someone from the desert would have training in endurance or nature. So I like that because it gives you that game mechanic that represents what your character is. This one covers things like geography, society. So geography, you know, where you were born. Desert, forest, mountain, urban, or wetlands. Then you get society backgrounds, poor, wealthy, or noble. Then birth, you can actually choose where you were born. You know, born among another race, blessed, cursed, omen on another plane, or a prophecy that you were going to be born. So that's always really cool. Occupation, artisan, criminal, entertainer, farmer. So I mean, I really like the mariner, merchant, military, and scholar. I really like these because I thought it added a lot to your character. Not only does it, you know, give you an idea, it gives you skills to represent what you are. So I like that. And it gives us racial backgrounds too, so you can really get into what you are. Like the Deva's got brink of enlightenment, brink of corruption, and forgotten lifetime. Dragonborn have dishonored, rare egg, brush with the past. I mean, it goes into things for drow, dwarf, eladrin, elf, genasi, gnome, Goliath, half elf, half orc, halfling, human, shifter, and tiefling. So I liked all of those. Then we get new feats, which I'm always a fan of. Following in traditional 4E style. There's a good bit of racial specific ones, which I like, but I wish there was more general feats as well, because there's just a ton of racial specifics. But I see what it does. It gives difference between, you know, if I play a fighter and you play a fighter, but we're different races. If I was to take a whole bunch of my racial feats, I'd be different than you in a lot of ways. But at the same time, there's not a lot of generic feats. General feats, sorry, not generic. You get new Paragon to your feats. So it's some pretty cool stuff. You get some epic tier. Then it gives us new armor and adventuring gear. It gives us musical instruments and totems for the shamans and druids. We get new different types of armor. We get new weapons. There's new magic stuff in general, so that's always really cool. New enchantments for your weapons. New enchantments for your rods, staves, totems, wondrous items. Anything strange here? We get a fire horn. I don't even know what that is. It sounds cool though. We get some new rituals. The ritual list isn't that large actually. It's primarily nature rituals. I think there's primarily nature and some arcane. There's no religion on this one. There's some cool ones like control weather, speak with nature, stuff like that. Then it goes into the back where it gives you some updates on some of these rules. So ultimately, I ended up being very, very happy with this book. If you're planning on playing 4E in any of these races, these things, you know, are interesting, I'd pick it up. I enjoyed this book immensely. It originally retailed for $35. I'm pretty sure now you can pick it up for like $15 on Amazon. But I really, really like this book, and I recommend it to anyone who wants to play any of these things. So, I think next week we will be reviewing... We're going to review Divine Powers. No, we'll review the PHB 3, and then we'll move out of the core series. So, until then, have a good one.